Google has just paid $2.7 billion to acquire an AI startup. This one, I think, will blow your mind. I've been super excited. And it's also very interesting the way this acquisition, because it's not actually an acquisition, it's technically they're licensing the startup's technology. And the reason for this is, of course, because right now the regulatory environment is such that you can't really acquire companies without it all getting blocked by some sort of regulatory agency, whether in the United States or in the EU. It's just kind of crazy right now. So Google's been doing the same thing that Microsoft and others have been doing, but $2.7 billion in a acqui-hire and a licensing deal for Character.AI. This is an absolutely insane story. I want to get into all of it because there's so much to this backstory I wasn't aware of. Why they're paying this much money, the history of the founder over at Google. We're going to get into all of it. But the first thing I wanted to tell you is that if you've ever wanted to make money with AI tools or use AI to help grow your current business or to start side hustles to essentially make more money, I have a school community that is all about that. Every single week, my co-host of the AI Hustle podcast, Jamie, and we record exclusive content breaking down the exact strategies, tools we're using, and ways we're making money, exactly how much money we're making. We share the exact products that we're doing, exact techniques, everything that I can't really share in the open because sometimes it's, sort of, I don't know, confidential, or I don't know. I don't publish it publicly. So I put it in this group. If you're interested in joining, we'd love to have you. It is $19 a month. In the future, this will be $100 a month to join this community. But right now it is a fraction of that. So if you're interested, this is the week to join. We'd love to have you in as part of the journey if you're interested in making money or growing your business with AI. So let's get back to Character.AI. Here's what's really interesting. So Google, they're paying $2.7 billion. Technically this is a licensing deal, but at the same time, technically part of the deal is that Noam Shazir, who is the founder of Character.AI, he's 48 years old, he's a software engineer. He has to come over with his core team of Character.AI and work at Google. So this is a classic acquisition move, right? They get all the technology and they get the team. Well, in this case, technically they just get to license all the technology and they license it exclusively and they get the team, but it's not an acquisition, it's a licensing deal. So I don't know, kind of funny. This is exactly what Microsoft did with Inflection's Pi when they grabbed Mustafa Suleyman over to head up their Microsoft AI. And so, yeah, this is a very, very interesting move, but it's the same thing that we're seeing. So who is Noam Shazir? Why is he so important? And why is he worth $2.7 billion for Character.AI and his team? So Noam Shazir, he first was hired at Google as one of their few hundred employees that they ever had back in 2000. He was one of the first ones, and he left the company in 2021 because they refused to release a chatbot that he had developed with one of his colleagues, who is Daniel DeFreitas. So this is an important piece of information in this whole story. Pretty much, he was developing something. And back in 2017 is, I think, really when he kind of got started on this. He made this amazing chatbot. This kind of just goes to the whole theory that like Google already had ChatGPT way before ChatGPT or OpenAI did, but they were just worried about releasing it. So apparently back in 2017, he created this, and it was called Mina. It was a chatbot that could essentially answer a ton of different questions on a ton of different topics, very similar to ChatGPT. According to the journal, Shazir was so confident in the abilities of this chatbot, Mina, and its utility, that he said his prediction was that it was going to replace Google search engine. So how did Google executives take this, prediction of their search engine being replaced back in 2017? They did not like it. They thought it was too risky. They had concerns about safety. They had concerns about fairness. And due to all of this, they canned this whole thing. They said, no way, we're not, you can't release this thing. I also have to imagine that part of that was, they didn't want to be disrupted. Now, it's interesting because it's the classic innovator's dilemma issue where they didn't want their business to be completely disrupted. So instead they sat around, and then now they're being disrupted by OpenAI and Perplexity. But another interesting, thought on all of this is back in 2017 to 2000, and let's say 2003 is when they really started to feel the heat of OpenAI and Perplexity and some of these other tools. I don't know, maybe making Google feel the pain a little bit. Sure, it happened in 2022, but I feel like 2023 is when this really kind of started to compound, and they had to have like a response to this. So if you think about it, from 2017 to 2023, that's 6 full years where Google makes a ton of money, and so if Google's cranking out money for every single year, I think their annual revenue in their most recent was $278 billion. So you have to assume, and then I guess 2021 was 250. So yeah, I mean, if they're making like a $250 billion a year, they don't want to be disrupted. In the 6 years, I mean, I know that their revenue has grown. I'm talking about the most recent years, so this is definitely not exact. It's probably a little bit lower than this, but over the last 6 years, it'd be about $1.5 trillion, probably $1 trillion that they have made in revenue over the last 6 years. So like that could also be a big thing. It's like Google was kind of in this hard place where they were like slow rolling this innovation, because sure, it was innovative and incredible, but like if they rolled it out, it was going to have a direct negative impact on their ad revenue. And unless they figured out a way to, I guess, incorporate ads into the AI, which, to be honest, I think Perplexity has shown that this is very doable. Now that Perplexity does it, but I just feel like when you see Perplexity, you see the way that they give the results. It seems doable that they could put ads into these AI models and probably have solved that problem. So in any case, Noam had a big tiff about this. He left the company in 2021 because they refused to do it. He created something incredible, and he went over with DeFreitas, and they went and founded Character.AI, which grew and became one of the most popular AI startups in Silicon Valley. They reached $1 billion valuation last year. And I believe that when this whole deal went through, when Google just closed this whole deal with Character.AI, they had more than 20 million monthly active users. So very, very popular tool. It's interesting because OpenAI has reported that, I think in their last report, they reported that they had 200 million monthly active users. So Character.AI is like a tenth of the size of OpenAI, which is like the big AI company that everyone knows and uses and has every sort of like corporate integration, whereas Character.AI is just sort of used much more of a consumer, and I think a lot of like high school kids and different people are using this. So it's not, it's like you could go talk to Leonardo da Vinci on Character.AI and other like people like that. People are making chatbots. So this definitely isn't this isn't the same technology that OpenAI is doing. It doesn't have all these APIs. It doesn't have image generation, all these crazy things per se that OpenAI does, but it has a tenth of its monthly active users. So to me, very, very impressive. And for this, Google decided it was worth almost $3 billion. So why does Google want to buy this? The thinking is essentially Google is going to take Noam and use him to build AGI inside of Google. He's going to be their lead, sort of like Microsoft got Mustafa Suleyman. This is Google's guy. He started in Google. He created something incredible. He left, launched it in the real world. It got incredibly popular. I'd be so curious to see Google Gemini's usage metrics compared to this tool, because it might be comparable, right? In, I guess, people just opting to use it, other than Google Gemini showing results that are just kind of forced to the top of a search. But people actually going to use Gemini, I'd be curious to see what that number is versus this. They might be comparable. So they're pulling him back in. They license the technology, so they essentially own that now, which technically means if they powered Character.AI by Gemini, that's 20 million monthly active users that Gemini would bump, which looks great for Google, probably looks great on the reports. But anyways, is that really the reason? Are they just trying to bump their numbers? No, I think it's a talent play. Eric Schmidt, who is the former CEO of Google, he has always been very impressed with Shazir. And he said that he was convinced, he was talking to the Journal, and he said he's convinced that Shazir was going to be the right person that could build an AI model that could operate with human-like intelligence, aka AGI. And he said this in 2015 at Stanford University in a talk. He said, quote, "If there's anybody I can think of in the world who's likely to do it, it's going to be him." So obviously Eric Schmidt was incredibly impressed, believed this guy was the guy to take Google to the next level. They lost him. This is probably a travesty at the company. They're probably really bummed about it. But Google is a massive company making insane amounts of money. They can reel people back in, which is interesting because it's something that maybe other AI startups or other startups don't have the power, is the power of just pure money that Google can use to pull people back in. So he's coming back in. And he's going to be building essentially their AGI. What's interesting here is Shazeer himself personally with this deal is going to be making hundreds of millions of dollars in this transaction. Obviously, there was investors in Character.AI and yada, yada, all of that. But he is going to be making hundreds of millions of dollars coming over to Google. And he's going to be one of 3 people who are going to lead Google's efforts to essentially build the next version of their Gemini AI model. So uh, essentially, the goal is for this to compete with ChatGPT, because right now Gemini does some cool stuff, but it's not really. I would say it's not the name, the name that everyone's like, oh yeah, I use Gemini to go answer this or that. It's kind of like Anthropic's Claude or ChatGPT or even Meta AI, because it's kind of embedded into everything. So it's going to be interesting to see where that plays out. Google Gemini is obviously a powerful tool. The next generation should be incredible. They've had some controversies, but I think they're going to be pulling some impressive stuff out. So very interesting to see where this goes. I think the talent war is really heating up in Silicon Valley right now. We're having people like, Mark Zuckerberg and Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google. They're personally writing notes to different recruits telling them to come and join their companies. So this is getting very competitive. And it's going to be very interesting to see who has the most money or the most sway and is able to pull people into their company. But I would definitely not sleep on Google and everything they're doing right now. And this kind of acquisition/licensing deal for $2.7 billion, absolutely phenomenal. If you are interested in making money from AI and you're looking at ways to monetize it, I would love to have you in the AI Hustle School community. The link is in the description. It's a phenomenal community. We learn a ton. There's exclusive content there you won't find anywhere else. And it's exactly how I am personally monetizing and making money from AI. So thanks so much for tuning into the podcast today. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to join our community if you're interested, and I will catch you next time.